because they are hypocrites. But I'm not supposed to say that, am I?
Teach, man.
I'm not supposed to say that, am I?
No.
Well, the world is waiting for these people to honor their mothers and fathers like other human beings are obligated to honor their mothers and their fathers, that their days may be longer upon this earth land that the Lord their God has given them. That's their lost estate. But they don't want to hear that kind of stuff because they got a personal relationship. Well, if they got a personal relationship, they better call him yesterday because they're in trouble. And they have no idea how much trouble they're in because they're getting ready to get exterminated. And most of them never read Executive Order 11490. Most of them never read the King Alfred Plan or the Rex 84 Plan, additional to the King Alfred Plan with the biological warfare for extermination and genocide against stateless persons. And the devil ain't doing it. United States Corporation Company operatives have been doing it and are doing it now and are accelerating that activity as we speak. And it got a daggone thing to do with belief systems. And if they're so saved, go ahead and do what you do. Because it appears to me that whatever God's room gave them that they've been talking about, then abandoned them a long time ago. Now that's what the evidence shows, not what they say. We're talking about, let's deal with the evidence. What does the evidence show? They've been abandoned. Because if anybody arrogantly, and if they have any honor whatsoever, sit around and talk about the gods and salvation of these so-called black communities, and that is the established condition, they're lying. All you see is broken families, destruction, drugs, youth dying younger and younger, and the jails packed with them, with all of their salvation and their godliness. And I know that some people get mad because Taj Guy says these things bluntly. But you're not going to fix anything that you won't admit is broken. Now, when the Pope defeated the Moors, and when the Red House fell in 1492, which you know as the Alhambra, they set up a global world trust. And with that global world trust, they administer all conquered lands and peoples of those lands under the World Global Trust. They use both phrases, Global World Trust and World Global Trust. And the United States Corporation Company operatives are the direct war room administrators of that trust. The CUSIC number is the red number that's on the Social Security card, with and without dashes, is used both ways for entries into the Global World Trust for people who are physically dead as well as physically alive. Dead or alive, those barratry instruments have been and are still being used to enter and exit the Global World Trust for the United States Corporation Company for conversion of your estate under that trust. That's the fact. Now, the fact that your so-called leader guys who know this information, because they got these secret oaths, won't tell their own people and keep on having them talk about salvation and everything distracted from the real world, the world is not feeling sorry for you. Because nobody talks about a knowledge of God like we do. So since we know all this stuff, back to like I said earlier, as far as the world is concerned, you got your peanut butter sandwiches, so anything they take is just crumbs. If you're first in line with the God type thing, what do you need? How dare you claim to the world that you need anything? This is back to where Yahshua said, you know, how dare you talk about a God you do not see and love not your brothers and sisters you see every day. Likewise in law, and this is where the common law comes in. That's why I tell people to look up the common law. How dare you try to use the common law when you honor not your mothers and your fathers? Certainly you are not descendable by law. You should figure that out without somebody having to run it into the ground. However, for some reason we got to run it into the ground because people still don't get it. Meanwhile, with House Joint Resolution 2847 under the guise of employment, they're stealing all these people's accounts. They don't even know the bank accounts belong to the Romans, don't belong to you. Anything you give them is an unsecured loan. And they're getting ready to liquidate those accounts that you think is yours while we sitting around talking about salvation. Because we won't deal with reality. To convert to themselves their private debt to the United States Corporation Service Company that Lincoln bankrupted in 1860. That's what the coup d'etat of 1861 is, where the Congress adjourned sine die, made for themselves a kingship oligarchy.
Taj. The Congress adjourned sine die,
Yes.
but they were still meeting after 1861 during the Civil War. Is that not true?
Of course. Of course. Now repeat that very clearly. Say it again. Say it in the mic. I want this on tape. The Congress for the United States
adjourned sine die.
May 10th of 1861, continue.
But did they not still meet during the Civil War?
So now you have what is called de facto operations, don't you? Go in the law book, go in the book, de facto. Go this de facto. Ready? De facto. Go,
I'm coming.
give them the mic.
I'm coming, teacher. I'm coming.
Yeah.
Is that also the reason why some Asiatics will come over here and they'll have on that status white?
That's why you see it on their passports. But you see a lot of them won't show it to our people because our people will start making negative statements like, oh, you think you're white man, think you better than us, and we've been here a long time, and you coming here getting businesses in old houses that we can't get for $1, and you coming in our neighborhood taking from the black community, and they start all that stuff. They come under the national law, they honor their mothers and fathers, they're not doing wrong. See, our people keep on trying to justify their own corruption. That's where our problem is that we're corrupt and won't admit it. We're corrupt and won't see it. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? And so when nationals come to North America and start making economic progress very quickly and get buildings that we can't even afford to touch, and within months they're selling our sisters some else's plaques, braids and stuff, toilet paper, suds. And then before you know it, they're doing all right. Whether they can speak the language clearly or not, they don't care who mayor is. Because they're dealing with international and constitutional law. These are the same things that we're obligated to, but we won't step up to the constitutional fold of government. Although Drew Ali set the platform up 102 years ago. We've been sold out by people who should have been teaching these principles decades ago. I can't make you or anyone else adhere to those principles. All I can do is show you the record and you can figure it out for yourself. But what you cannot do anymore is make excuses. But understand this succinctly. The rest of the civilized world don't excuse you even if you make it. De facto. Read it, good brother. Can you get him, please?
Hey, come on.
De facto, actually, in fact, existing as a king. De facto, distinguished from a king. De jure, or by right.
So it's opposite of de jure, isn't it?
Yeah.
So de jure is true, de facto is false. De facto is what? Substitute in fact, but not in truth, moral, or reality. So the United States Corporation Company has been presented since 1861 as the nation state when it actually was not and it is not. And people have what? Fallen for it. So since 1861, you've had a de facto operative body of secret board of directors for the secret Treaty of Verona for the United States Corporation Company registered in Puerto Rico, pretending to be representatives for the Organic Republic, of which they are enemies.
Taj, I understand everything you're saying.
They've been waging war on the nationals.
So your position quickly, a smidgen of history. Lincoln was a part of that?
Lincoln, now let's give you the history. This is the history. Remember when Obama went to Egypt and exposed that the American Constitution come from Muslim law?
That's right.
And you notice that Michelle went to the Alhambra, the Red House, red dress. Then they come back, they signed Rights of Indigenous People. Rahm Emanuel, the Jew, the year before, issued a proclamation from his desk telling you the history.
That's right.
Of Noble Drew Ali, telling you the estate of the Moors, telling you their aboriginal and indigenous status.
That's right.
He's a Jew. According to fatwa, Moorish law, called the nobility clause in the Constitution, which is the original article of Amendment 13, which is not taught today, except in masonry, in secret societies, and amongst scholars. A member of the Bar Association could not hold an office in the United States nor take on the title of Esquire or Noble, any noble titles, because they don't belong to them. After the operation of Sina Dia, they set up, excuse me, I'll get another marker. Excuse me, with this, I want to move this stuff out of the way so you can see this very clearly. That's what actually took place. This operation is known in the political forum as that's what's in operation. This is a de facto political platform substituting for the United States Republic, which is based in Constitution, which was actually overthrown. And if you don't know the difference between the U.S. democracy and the United States Republic, you're under the spell. And if you accept this as a legitimate government, you've acquiesced your estate and your birthright. Now let's go back to history. So you can understand this. Abraham Lincoln, being a member of the Bar Association, could not hold the office of president under the Organic Republic, even though he is known to have Moorish blood to his grandfather, etc. This is why when you go into the microfilm or the early newspapers when Lincoln was running for president, you'll see them dress him in Moorish garb, with pantaloon, bolero, curly hair, dark skin, and a two-edged sword, which you see them using masonry now over the head of the Sphinx. According to Moorish law fatwa, a member of the Bar Association could not hold office under the United States because it's a political agreement between Moors and Christians to stop the hundreds of years wars between the Muslims and the Christians, from the Punic Wars on up to the Battle of Tours near Poitiers, France, to the Christian Crusades, to the Battle of Lake Michigan, to the Revolutionary War, etc., all of which are continuations of the same war. They're just different eras of time. They're not different wars. If you don't understand this, you can't understand history. Are we clear? The reason why people in position of power must be a Mason because they got to know the history and they must look at governing humanity from a multifaceted point of view. They do not look at history in a vacuum. Are we clear? So someone in government is already trained in what is known as Privy Council. Privy Council, keep that in mind. All organized bodies politic have what is known as Privy Council. Privy Council would be any Masonic order, any Knights Templar order, Knights Malta, Eastern Star, etc., any governmental body. Privy Council is where chosen members are given knowledge and information that is not generally afforded to the masses in order to keep them clear. And clear means don't believe what you're telling the masses. Although you tell the masses one thing, you do and know another thing. However, you must take oath not to reveal it because the institutions will collapse if the people know the truth. Are we clear? Are we clear? Yes. No different than, like, if you ask, like, this, let me give you an example. Like, say if I'm going to college to do, say, an LLD, a doctorate of law, doctor of divinity, etc., I will learn the history of religion, the Kabbalistic basis of religion, the Septuaginta, the conversion of the Bible from the Septuaginta, Latin and Hebrew. I learned of Biblos, which is the printing area that the Asiatics use for printing books, and that the Bible is a generic term applied to the Heliotech Book of the Sun, which is what that book is. And it was just loosely given the name Bible, which is really from Biblios, where the city where the ancient Canaanite Moabites made papyrus paper. And so, loosely, Bible just simply means book. But the real name of that book is really Septuaginta. Septuaginta is a transliteration of the ancient Kabbalistic knowledge by 72 scholars. But keeping in harmony with the culture of the ancient ones, they keep the number 7. That's where Septuaginta comes from. So Septuaginta is your first Bible. So scholars know that, but what would happen if they taught the masses who think they know them books? It would liberate them from the priesthood. Are we clear? Meaning, so that would be called Privy Council. Are we clear? Congress people who are pretending to be Congress actually have stock on the people. It's called human capital. They're going to come out here and tell the people that these people are human capital, chattels, when they got stock. But they know that. It's called Privy Council. What is the nature of what you've been told tonight and at other times in the House of Ram and in other forums like this? You've been giving Privy Council information that otherwise would be held back from you. Okay. Do you understand? It's called Privy Council. All organized institutions have Privy Council. They may be given different names, like adept chamber. So all your philosophical houses, whether you deal with Rosicrucians, Rose Cross, Kaiklos, Ku Klux Klan, Knights of Malta, Knights Templar, all of them have adept chambers. All of them have adept chamber. Look in your dictionary, the word adept, because I want everybody to get clear on this. Please go to the dictionary. Adept, A-D-E-P-T. Open that dictionary, please, and read adept. Make sure you got the mic. Now, and so, understand that it's logical to you that persons in positions of power are adepts. Are we clear? One of the things that upset people about Noble Drew Ali is that he brought adept or Privy Council information to the common people. This is also why you see a lot of people don't like him. Not because they can call him a liar, is because he upset the apple cart. What did he do? He pulled the wool, the cover off of all secret organizations for the sake of the heirs to the lost estate, who didn't even know they were heirs. So he had to bring to you information that otherwise had been held back from you. That information is called adeptus degrees. Privy Council, read.
Adept, a noun. The Latin adeptus, obtained from Edespiscal, one fully skilled or well-versed in any art. The term is borrowed from the equipmus, who applied it to one who pretended to have found the philosopher's stone or the panacea.
So what do you recognize already with that definition? Relative to the masses who keep saying they know those books. Do you understand the inference already?
That one fully...
The masses think they know and they do not know.
Right.
And the priesthood have not really been teaching them. And they're upset with Noble Drew Ali because he pulled the cover over all secret organizations and set up the old Canaanite temple, which is the Moorish Temple of Science, and adopted under a religious affidavit in 1928 to protect the estates of the people, the Moorish Science Temple of America, with its sole purpose at the heart of the movement is to enforce the Constitution and to bring the people back into the constitutional fold of government, which actually has multi-facets to it, both culture, political, and economics, i.e., he set up Privy Council amongst the common man, and a lot of people still don't get it. Do you understand?
It's clear.
And because people have been trained for so many generations under belief systems and trained that beliefs equal knowledge, it's difficult to liberate them. Thus, Harriet Tubman said, one of the most difficult things to do is to free a slave that don't know they're slaves. Harriet Tubman. And now that the estate principle is being restored, even though it's difficult, even backed up by the Pope, and so they plan to put Harriet Tubman on the 20-note bill. On
one side.
Yes, on one side, yeah. But you need to know what the signal actually is. The signal is the restoration because she's an Eastern Star. You know, but all women are really, in fact, you know, they just don't know themselves. But the deal of it is, the real politics are actually starting to come full circle. But again, what you have is people who are in opposition trying to kill off the heirs before transition is being made. This is another reason why this is subject matter tonight. But it's subject matter all the time, basically. But what we're doing is explaining different aspects of it so it can become your own. So you can, this is the appeal to you. Don't accept what I'm telling you. Do some research. I've given you reference points and charge you with proving me wrong. This is what your charge is.
It's trust but verify.
Prove me wrong. Are we clear? In doing so, you will learn more. But in doing so, you will slay the Goliath of the dark, which is your own ignorance. Then you will recognize the need for you to tell your neighbor and explain this to them in an intelligent tone so they don't think it's a belief system. It has nothing to do with beliefs. It has everything to do with your lost estate. Are we clear? Now, let's get back to the basic history. Because the barristers which you call the bar associations, of England and the one established under colonial operations at North America, are actually deputy knights under the unum sanctum operations for the popes of Rome, whose duty under the secret treaty of Verona to undermine all republican forms of government or allodium-oriented law in any nation. Therefore, a member of the bar could not hold office under the United States organic constitution. Are we clear?
Yeah.
So they ran Lincoln for president of the United States Service Corporation that Benjamin Franklin had established in France in 1754, preparing for the oncoming union that was clearly in the works after the fall of the Red House. Are we clear? So they ran Lincoln on the platform of the United States Service Company in France that was almost guaranteed to have the what? The contracts for servicing the organic United States. And thus, he would have the powers of praetor or president, although not officially holding the office. Are we clear? So they ran Lincoln on the platform of the United States Service Corporation in France. Lincoln quickly became cognizant of the fact that they were using him to undermine the republic. Are we clear? He went about the business of trying to preserve the Union, which came about under treaty, and deliberately bankrupted the United States Service Corporation. With the coup d'etat that took place in 1861, the plot began to convert the bankruptcy of the United States Service Corporation in France that Lincoln bankrupted in 1860 on the back of the Moors, who they owe by obligation enforcement of the treaty and the ordinance of 1787 prior to the adoption of the Constitution. Are we clear?
No.
The Treaty of Peace and Friendship, 1786, 1787, the ordinance, sometimes referred to Northwest Territories, of 1787, then the signing of the Constitution and adoption from Muslim law, 1788, ratified 1789 with the Republican form of government under allodium principles for preservation of the treaty and the Constitution preserved in the Supremacy Clause called Article 6 of that Constitution was being undermined. And Lincoln bankrupted that United States Corporation Company operatives who were secretly enforcing the secret treaty of Verona to undermine the republic. That put a target on his back, guaranteed his assassination. So Lincoln went about doing a couple of law cases, making the distinction between Moors and blacks. Same people, same blood, different status. That put a target on his back, which is a countermeasure to preserve the republic, because the republic was related to the Moors. Because it comes from Muslim law. It has an allodial and allodium character to it. That's the republic. They were introducing and imposing a feudal order of the Roman order, which is the U.S. democracy operations and the real reason for the coup d'etat that they refer to as the Congress adjourning sine die, which means they left their offices. They abandoned their position, which means they were no longer the Congress for the United States. They were private warmongers. But instead, they started the plot of maintaining the power of the office without the honor and to actually wage war on the people since 1861 and to convert their private debt onto the nationals of the land to which they owe obligatory treaty enforcement. Are we clear? Now, so they murdered Lincoln. Before he was assassinated, did the Emancipation Proclamation with a later institution that was instituted after they assassinated him anyway, which was the Bureau of Refugees, Freedmen, and Abandoned Lands, and this is where most of the land would have been given back to the Moors. They had been given back their name and nationality. That's why it was squandered within a 3-year period. Then they closed it in 1868 and created the corporate person of the United States Corporation Company that Lincoln bankrupted and converted the debt of that private foreign corporation that Lincoln bankrupted in 1860 on the back of the descendants of the Moors, which is the national debt that you hear today that's actually a fraud. Are we clear? That's the theft of your birthright. That's the founding motion, nation, motive of Noble Drew Ali later setting up the old Canaanite temple for the enforcement of the organic constitution. This is why he talks about the 14th and 15th Amendments not necessary for the salvation of my people and citizens. Don't he?
Good job, man.
And so now you have an impostorship since 1861 with its political platform perfected February the 2nd, 1871, which is called the Act of Congress, 1871. That's the U.S. democracy that you've been paying taxes to ever since, and it's a fraud then and now.